What's up, everybody? So we are at Target right now, just walking around, and I found something really cool. Hope you can see this. It's a fly and drive drone. For lack of a better word, it's a flying car. I mean, literally, it flies, it has wheels, it rolls. The only exception, obviously, it doesn't seem to have like a spot like where a passenger would go. But see that little middle spot there? You could carve that out and put a little passenger area where someone could sit down or stand up or whatever. But yeah, it's literally a flying car. You know, um, I thought that was really cool. They've been talking about flying cars forever, and it's cool to actually have it, even though it's a toy version. It just goes to show you. I'm walking around as I'm talking and looking at it. It just goes to show you. I mean, the technology exists. It has existed for a while. I mean, technically, a plane is a flying car. If you've ever been in a plane before, what does it do? First, you're on the runway, you roll first, you drive first before you fly. It rolls on its wheels and eventually, it flies up into the sky. The technology for flying cars has existed for a long time. What was that? Becca, show me something. Oh, Alf. Um, the problem is, like with a plane, right? Let's just say I mean, there are small planes, but say you just shrunk down a plane to where it's just basically one or two passengers, right? The problem is why it's not like a mass thing. Oh, how come they just don't make a small flying car plane, basically, right? It's because you need a runway. Like I said, in order for a plane to fly, you have to have a long. I'm gonna put this toy down now. You have to have a long runway so you could get up enough speed so you could go up in the air, and that's not practical for, you know, millions of people in a city or in a state or whatever. You'd have to create all these runways. But nowadays we have drones, as you see from the toy here. I'll show you guys one more time. This is really cool.
It's okay, bud. It's okay.
Now we have the technology. These drones, basically a drone is just a quadricopter, and yeah, as you see from the toy, they just take a normal drone, put wheels on it, and so I'm assuming that you go back and forth or left or right, and then all of a sudden from your initial spot, again, unlike a plane where you have to get enough speed and then you go up, a drone you could go from stationary and then go just straight up, and again you could just scale it up. This is obviously a toy, but I mean there's nothing preventing an engineer from just making that human size. Like I said, you just take the middle part and you could make a little capsule or whatever, or you put a part where someone could sit in, and boom, there you go, you have a flying car. But there's other problems too. So anybody who's ever had a drone before, you'll know the drones are loud, right? And so even if you had a scaled up version of this where a human could sit in and fit in whatever, it's like, hey, well, there you go, you got a flying car, right? But the problem is the noise. Drones are extremely loud, and especially you scale it up, the noise gets way louder. You make it big enough for a human. Now all of a sudden the rotors are way bigger, all four of them, huge, making a lot of noise. Now imagine, like I said, say you're in a city of 100,000 people, and however many of those people have those drones, that's a lot of noise pollution. So that's another problem. It's not like thousands of people could just be driving those things around. I mean, it's loud, just ridiculous. Even just one drone is loud. Imagine, like I said, just thousands of them just flying around the city. And so that's one problem they would have to overcome. Figure out how to muffle the noise somehow. Because you have to have lift somehow, whether it's a helicopter or a drone or whatever, you have to have lift. And that's what the rotor does, basically. It goes really fast, pushes you upwards, which makes noise. So that's a problem. And the other problem, obviously, is yeah, that's cool. The other problem obviously is anyone who's ever been on the road or driven a car before, people can't even drive on the ground in 2 dimensions, front, back, left, and right, let alone a whole extra dimension of not just front, back, left, and right, but up as well. Imagine the accidents. I mean, you'd almost need a pilot's license. But yeah, again, imagine millions of people flying around the skies. People can't even drive on the ground. Not to mention people are going to be drunk driving, all that kind of stuff, right? And then the last problem that I could think of anyways is, think about when you're on the road. Let's say you run out of gas. What happens? Well, your car just stalls. Maybe you're in the middle of the road, people see you, whatever, get out of the way, right? Now let's say you're up in the sky and you run out of gas or electricity if it's an electric flying car. Where are you going to go? You fall down. You just go straight down. And, even if you hop out in some kind of parachute or whatever, your little flying car drone thing is just going to slam to the ground, maybe kill people, maybe land on someone's house. So yeah, that's why you don't see flying cars, is my point. My point in all this is that's the reason you don't see flying cars. Not that technology doesn't exist. Again, here it is, right here, literally. Flying cars do exist, and like I said, it's not a big deal to scale it up, but it's the other complications of people can't even drive on the ground, let alone in the sky. What are you going to do when someone runs out of fuel or their car just breaks down? All of a sudden, that happens, and the car just shuts off. It's just going to fall down to the ground. And so that's why they don't mass produce them. It just wouldn't work yet. Oh, and then the noise, like I said, and the noise too. So those are 3 things that they have to overcome. The muffling of the noise, that is a big thing. Even if they figure out, like, say they make them fully autonomous, or it's just robot driven, it's like, okay, maybe you don't have as many accidents or whatever. Accidents will still happen. So that part, you could probably fix that part with making them fully autonomous, robot driven. But the noise, that's still a thing. And like I said, even if it's robot driven, you'd always have to make sure there's fuel in it and make sure it's fully functioning. That's why, so much care goes into like planes and helicopters. They don't just put planes up in the sky or helicopters. There's constantly checks to make sure it has enough fuel to get where it's going, to go across the ocean or wherever it's going. Make sure all the bolts are fastened and all those things. You don't just get in a plane and just like, okay, let's go. No, there's a lot of tests, because if all of a sudden it malfunctions in the air, that's just a huge weight, huge rock just falling down to the ground. So anyhow, I thought that was cool. Flying cars do exist, even in toy version. Yeah, just got to scale them up and fix those other problems, and we have flying cars. Anyhow, thanks for watching. See you next video.